Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to do a quick real estate market update for you guys. I haven't done one in a little while, but I'm not going to bore you with a ton of numbers. I'm going to give you some insight on what is happening, feet on the street perspective from a real estate agent. We're also going to talk about some new data that has come out in terms of how many investors are holding properties, as well as how many people are mortgage free in the Vancouver area. Real quick, if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Hassan. I'm a real estate agent in the Vancouver area, and I make educational real estate content to help you in your real estate journey. I also make content to help you make your move in and around Vancouver. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, hit the subscribe button, and that way you don't miss a future video. All right, so I'm going to get the numbers out of the way to start. When we look at Metro Vancouver and Fraser Valley, sales quantity perspective is essentially cut in half, down about 50% year over year from January of 2022. Now, the thing that we have to keep in mind as well is inventory has also been cut as well. And this has been something I've talked about on my channel in terms of a gradual decline of inventory in Metro Vancouver. I know for Fraser Valley, the lowest amount of new listings since 1984. So we're seeing less people putting their homes on the market. And the real question when it comes to Vancouver real estate prices, how they're going to look this year and how they're going to look in future years is, are we going to get the inventory? Are people going to list properties, or are we going to become a region and an area where people acquire units and continue to acquire and not place on the market? I don't think there are any questions in terms of what demand level is going to be, not just from people that are residents today, but future immigration. Again, we've talked about it on this channel. I think the demand is going to be there. The demand will fluctuate as interest rates go up and down, but the demand will always come surging back. So what we need to keep an eye on is, how is inventory going to work for us moving forward? Are we going to see more units? There's really two things that are going to drive it. There's going to be new construction, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And we're going to talk about people getting in tough situations because of where interest and mortgage rates are at. We're also going to talk about that as well. So when we look at new construction units, I mentioned how there's a lot of developers that are holding off, and some developers are taking advantage and placing units on the market right now. From a pure housing starts perspective, the CMHC has data they release month over month basis, down about 13% from December to January. I think this is going to be a bit of a trend where we're going to see less pre-sale units coming to market. The developers that purchased land a long time ago, they've been holding for a while, they bought it at good rates, they're well capitalized. I think they will actually capitalize on this market by placing units into the market. And for example, if we look at Surrey Central, usually this area is bustling with pre-sales, a lot going on, and the pre-sale market has been quite hot, but there's not as many projects that are selling currently. And that's something I want to talk to you guys about as well, is you really got to look today now at the price for pre-sale properties, what you're paying on a price per square foot basis, and what you can get in the resale market for something near new. And I mentioned that, I'm just going to take Surrey Central as an example. I'm seeing low rises that are asking, $1,000 a square foot, which essentially for me, that's peak pricing of last year. So they're, asking for peak pricing, and is it worth going down that angle versus looking at something that currently exists that's in the resale market that you can get near new for say $850 to $900 a square foot? So you really got to weigh the advantage, because when it comes to pre-sales, you want to be rewarded for investing in that project. You want to be rewarded today, because again, you're not getting that project or your product until a future date. So it's time to weigh that out. I'm doing that with a lot of my clients right now. In fact, a few people I've met through YouTube, we had been talking about pre-sales, and now we're starting to shift the focus to the resale market, because there is some value, there is some opportunity to be had when it comes to resale. On that note, I want to talk about price differences in BC year over year, and this is where it gets a little bit staggering. So I'll talk Metro Vancouver first. So from January 2022 to January 2023, down about 8% for Greater Vancouver. So that includes areas such as Burnaby, Coquitlam, etc. So down about 8%. Much of that is in the detached home segment, townhome as well a little bit, and condos remaining pretty flat. Now, the number that jumps out to me is the Fraser Valley, and this is stats from the BC Real Estate Association, down about 27% year over year when you combine all product types. That's an area that I would be looking at. Now, in my younger years before I got in real estate, I would hear a headline like that and it would freak me out. And I would think that I need to stay away from that area. But now that I've been in real estate for a while, I've seen markets go up and down. If I were to look at an investment in today's market or to make a purchase, I would definitely be looking in the Fraser Valley. I think there's some good opportunities there. There's more inventory there as well compared to Metro Vancouver. Metro Vancouver has remained quite tight. So if you're open-minded to areas and you're trying to figure out where you should go to get the best deal, it's going to be in the Valley. But of course, if you need to be very close to work, walkable to certain amenities that you go to, etc., and you need to be on the Metro Vancouver side, there's also deals to be had in Metro Vancouver right now. So I want to talk about this sentiment that investors are eating up all the inventory. And finally, we actually have some quantifiable figures that we can point to. And basically, when we compare BC and Ontario, for example, they are the two most, I guess you could say, investor-driven provinces. For condos in BC, over a third of them are owned by investors, and over 40% are owned by investors in Ontario. It brings up obviously an interesting conversation in terms of, yes, investor sentiment is high in these two provinces, but the other thought that's not really talked about too much is how buildings are designed these days to target investors. We see studio units now that are in the 300 square feet, 330 square feet for studio units. Are these being designed for someone to want to purchase to live in, or are they being designed for someone that wants to purchase and rent it out and obviously get a good rental rate based on the square footage? So we kind of talked a little bit about, inventory is going to be the name of the game moving forward. Are we going to see additional inventory? And really, we look at two things like I mentioned. We look at the how many new construction housing starts are we going to gain? And then we also got to look at who's going to feel pain in order to put their properties on the market, the investors that I just spoke about. So an interesting set of data came out, and it turns out that 50% of people in Vancouver are mortgage free, those that own property. To me, believe it or not, it surprised me a little bit as well, that 50% don't have a mortgage. So they're not going to feel the pain in the Vancouver area of increasing interest rates, increasing mortgage rates. So when we take 50% out, we look at another 50%, and of those 50%, really only the variable rate holders or those that are renewing right now are going to feel, again, pain in the market to potentially put their homes on the market because they are distressed. So I don't think we're going to see distressed sellers as much in Vancouver. Now, of all the lower mainland areas, the city with the most mortgages, the most percentage of homeowners with mortgage, Surrey. So I think, again, I'm going to lean back. I think we're going to see some more opportunities on the Surrey side. Having said all that, whether you're in Vancouver right now or whether you are in the Fraser Valley, we are seeing sales activity and buyers coming back to the market. We are seeing that pick up. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves when we talk about demand in the market, and whether you hear multiple offers are back from me or from another real estate agent, you have to take that with a big grain of salt. And I'm going to tell you why. Multiple offers in today's market is very different than multiple offers in a hot market. You may see a product that has 10 offers on it, but the bulk of those offers, they might be under that asking price or right at it, because we have a lot of buyers. They're not only struggling to get approved for mortgages, but a lot of investors are coming back into the market and throwing offers at things. So multiple offers in today's market, they tend to be lower. Homes don't typically see all the multiple offers to be over that asking price. Whereas in a hot market, people weren't even writing offers unless it was already well above that asking price. Even at the asking price, they would say, what's the point? I'm not going to write it. I'm going to look at something else. So keep that in mind. Again, if you hear it from me or someone else, yes, multiple offers are happening, but those multiple offers look very different. The other thing to mention, and I did a video about this last year, I said with the introduction of what's called an irrevocable direction for the presentation of offers, I know it sounds crazy, but what that means is a seller now signs a form if they want to go to multiple offers saying, I will not even consider or view any offers prior to the offer date. I said in that video that that was going to encourage people to list very, very low, much lower than what they expect to achieve, because they don't want the odd chance of a realtor sending an offer that they can't even present or the seller can't even consider, and it being a strong offer that the seller would typically consider. And we've seen that. We had a home in Surrey that was listed at $1 million, should have been listed at 1.3. They ended up getting 50 plus offers, sold for 1.3. So unfortunately, I think we're seeing greater discrepancy now between list price and sale price. It's wasting a lot of buyers' time. But again, in those types of situations where we're seeing these double digits, 50 offers, etc., it's because the home is severely underpriced. Now, the other reason that we're seeing that sort of activity is there's a whole bunch of inventory that sits on the market right now that the seller is asking for prices of last year. So when we look at active inventory and we say inventory is down, we're not even talking about inventory that's on the market that really isn't even on the market. It's sitting there at such a high price that people aren't even viewing it. They're not sending offers at it. So as tight as we talk about inventory is, it's even tighter than what's being reported. And so what sellers are doing that are actually intent on selling right now, and this is my advice to you, is they are being very sharp with the list price like I just spoke about, and it's leaving all those overpriced properties in the dust. And now you have a whole pool of buyers that are shopping around for those same properties, and it's really helping sellers achieve the best possible price in today's market. Now, before I close off this video, I mentioned I was going to tell you guys what truly drives the market in Vancouver real estate. Basically, when you look at Vancouver real estate, you'll see a lot of people talk about it in investment terms. You'll hear people say bullish, bearish, bull trap, bear market. A lot of people want to pin our market into an investment. And the reason why economists everywhere, they have so much trouble predicting how Vancouver real estate prices are going to go, or real estate prices in general, is real estate is an emotional decision. And first and foremost, real estate is shelter. And if you subscribe to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it is our greatest physiological need, shelter. You cannot quantify what it means for someone to purchase a home or to sell a home, what their personal circumstance is. You can't break that down into a number. And I know on my channel I talk a lot about numbers. It gives us a good basis and a good background of what's happening. But at the end of the day, everyone's motivation is so emotionally driven that we'll never be able to peg it to a T, because again, people are buying or selling for highly emotional reasons. And that's why economists cannot predict what's going to happen to the market. When COVID hit, obviously, CMHC said that sales were going to drop, prices were going to fall 20%. The complete opposite happened because people found that they were struggling to live in such close quarters around the clock with their loved ones. They needed more space. They started moving to the Fraser Valley. They needed that home office. They needed that backyard. They needed to be able to get away. And so this is why it's so difficult. So always keep that in mind as we look at data to give us some background. But at the end of the day, emotions drive that residential real estate market, and that's what really drives the prices and activity in the market. It's all about sentiment. So if you learned something from this channel, I'd love it if you could hit the like button, because what it does is it sends the video out to more people so they can learn from it as well. If you're in the Vancouver area and you are curious about your own real estate situation, you need some help navigating it, and you want me to help you with that, you can hit the Calendly link in the description box below. Book a call with me, or you can send me a text, shoot me an email, whatever's easier for you. I'd be more than happy to talk to you one-on-one. But outside of that, guys, thank you so much for watching this video and have a wonderful day.